The participants flow in, Lorna, and I'm
Okay.
going to record. There we go. Hello, everybody. I'm Kathy Caprino, and we are joined today by the amazing Lorna Byrne. Thank you for being here. I'm going to wait 1 minute. We had a little bit of a technical issue here, so we're letting our participants flow in as we open the call. Lorna, there were 840 people who registered today.
Wow.
Yeah, and we can have 500 live, but the folks who, often if we have 800 sign up, not 800 can join us live. But anyone who has to, leave early or can't make the whole thing, know that this is being recorded. I'm going to check one more time. There it is. And we will send you an email with a link to the recording tomorrow. So no worries.
Okay.
All
Okay. That's
right.
brilliant.
Yes. So everyone, let me share with you about Lorna just a bit. Lorna is a spiritual leader, an international best-selling author, a peace ambassador, and a mystic. And Lorna sees angels as clearly as you and I see human beings. And her works are so beautiful. Her 4 books now, yes? They're so beautiful and moving and important today. And they are Angels in My Hair, Stairways to Heaven, A Message of Hope from the Angels, and Love from Heaven, which is coming out. I have it. Where is it? Right here. It's coming out kind of in a new form, yeah?
Yeah.
On
And
Valentine's Day, I think. Yes.
yeah, I believe so. So I'm actually very excited about that. Getting over to celebrate the launch, in New York and Boston.
Yes. And we're going to tell everybody when those events are. And I'm coming to see you on February 23rd in New York.
I'm
So,
looking forward to meeting you and
oh,
seeing you in person.
I cannot wait. So I want to share this. Lorna's been featured in so many television shows, radio, print, CNN, NBC, BBC, the London Times, the Economist, and so many others. And I saw this in your materials, Lorna, and I just loved it. And I know you're going to be talking all about this, but your work can be summarized in 6 main points. Every person has a soul. Every person has a guardian angel. Mm. God is real. It doesn't matter what you believe, or even if you believe in nothing, help is still there for you. There is hope, and prayer is powerful. Oh, I love those lessons. So, I'm not going to waste a lot of time. We need Lorna to speak, but I did want to tell everybody who may be new to Lorna's work or even new to my work, just a quick story about how I fell in love with your materials. I follow Mike Dooley, who's just wonderful. His website is tut.com. And I saw some programs Mike and Lorna did together. And over the holidays, I would say that I was called to read Angels in My Hair. When you get those messages from the angels or whatever you think they're from, I said, I got to get this book. But for some reason, I couldn't get my hands on the physical copy. So I went to the library and got the audiobook. And it was something like 8 discs and 11 hours
Wow.
of a beautiful, it wasn't your beautiful voice, Lorna, but it was a narrator or a reader. And so for 11 hours in 3 days, your messages washed over me. And then I just couldn't get enough. I've just finished Love from Heaven, which is so beautiful. We could read it every single day and there'd be something new to learn. And I just want to say that when I engage with your materials, I feel such a shift, such uh, a tremendous shift of calm and love and forgiveness. So I know that your work is so legitimately needed in our world. Thank you for it.
Thank you. I don't know what to say. I just say to myself, or who's Kate talking about? Who are you talking about? It couldn't possibly be me. And it's
Oh,
not really. It is God and the angels, and it is our souls that you're really talking about. I always feel it has really nothing to do with me. I'm just doing what God has asked me to do, and the angels. Um, to help people to realize that they have a soul and a guardian angel that loves them unconditionally, and so many things the guardian angel has said to me to say to people. It's not just that unconditional love, it is that they never leave you even for 1 second, and I think that is incredible. And you're never, never alone. And to your guardian angel, no matter what ups and downs you go through in life, it never, never judges you. Even if one day you say, I don't believe in my guardian angel, I don't believe in anything, your guardian angel is right there with you and
How
loves you
beautiful.
unconditionally.
I want to say, you say it has nothing to do with you, but I really believe that your work takes courage in the world. And why do I know that? I do write and speak to what I think are my angels, and they have a name. Eleazar is the name they gave me. And I have been fired for bringing up the idea that I write to angels. It takes courage in the world to tell our truth, Lorna. And I know your Angels in My Hair book shares, that you actually didn't, you were told not to reveal that you see angels for many, many years. So it takes courage for you to do this. But for the people who don't know about your work, Lorna, can I ask you for a few minutes to talk about how you began to see angels and, how they presented to you, and now, how you incorporate all of their messages in your work?
I always say to everyone, it's in Angels in My Hair. It tells the story from, well, part of the story from the very beginning. I always say it's from the moment I opened my eyes. I always remember lying in the cot, and my mom bending over, and whatever she was doing, fixing me or whatever, and I reaching up, trying to catch the angels. You have to remember, I was an infant. And as far as I was concerned, my mom knew they were there.
Wow.
How could she not? It was only when I was about maybe 2.5. I'm never quite sure of my age, but it was roughly that.
Mm.
I have a dry patch. I'm so sorry.
No problem. Me too.
This seldom happens.
Seldom?
Sometimes. So you're going to have to excuse me.
Of course.
The voice is a little hoarse. But it was when I was that young age, and I know it's gotten all kind of weird. Um, when I was that young age, I was playing with my little brother in front of the fire, and they were little blocks my dad had made for us, and I was playing there, and it was at the time when our hands touched. That's when things really changed for me, even though I was only, that young age, 2.5. Because when our hands touched, it was like as if my hand went into his or his went into mine, and just an explosion of sparks,
Wow.
light, and the love that I felt. And it was at that very moment that the angel said, Lorna, my brother here was a soul. My little brother had died before I was born, but you have to remember I was only a little child, so it never dawned on me, and I didn't ask any question. And they said I must keep it a secret. I mustn't tell anyone that I see them, that they were angels. And at different times I would see my little brother asleep in my mom's arms, when she'd be sitting there in the chair in front of the fire. And at that stage, he would only be an infant in her arms. But when he was playing with me, he was around my age.
Wow.
Another time he was, about 5, and I was, so young. His age would change, and that is one thing I always say to everybody. It's only our human body that dies. We all have a soul, and it's
Wow.
that part that lives. And he was there playing with me, and all through my life he has come at different times.
Can
And
I ask you this, Lorna? Because now I've read 3 of your books, and And there were many messages that resonated and I had no confusion about, but there were a few things that you've said that I thought, oh wow, this is not what I had understood. So and I'm hoping that these are questions that thousands of people would ask if they could.
Okay.
So you have said, and you correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of us will say, like my beloved dad passed 3.5 years ago, and we say, he's my angel. And you have said, mm-mm, angels are not souls of our departed loved ones. Different. Can you
Different.
explain in your words
Yes,
what's
I
going on
suppose
there?
maybe to talk about angels first. Angels are creatures, and this I used to feel so embarrassed to say this, not for myself, but for the angels. And, you know, I always remember the first talks I was given, they used to have to give me encouragement.
You didn't
Angels,
want to put them down. You didn't want to say
exactly. I
that
didn't
they're.
want to do that, you
I
know,
love it.
and they just said, say it, because it's the truth. Angels are creatures created by God. Um, and they were created long, long, long ago. But we human beings have a soul, which is your soul is billions of times more than any angel could ever be, and billions of times. I know I couldn't actually give the number. And again, that's why the angels love to be in and around us. And again, that is, they love as well when we say our loved one is an angel in heaven. They actually love when we say that. So I do, that makes me happy.
I don't want to interrupt
But
you. I want you to go on
the
forever.
soul of your loved one comes and goes all of the time, but your guardian angel can't leave you. And we will all meet those that we loved, or even those that we didn't realize we loved, because, you
Hmm.
know, how would I say, the soul is so, so beautiful. And each time I'm trying to describe the soul, in the books, giving another little bit of information. And angels are incredibly beautiful as well. And I find them, but your soul is again billions of times more beautiful than any angel. It's just that spark, that light. And I'm always, always ask the question, why did God fall in love with us?
Hmm.
You know, and yet I'm so glad he did. When you look in the world today, you say, what did he see? But he saw something unique and very special, that he gave us this tiny little speck, this spark of himself. It's actually a piece of God. Imagine taking a little bit of you, and even though it's so, so tiny, and it's our soul, that spark of light, but it fills every single part of your human body. There's not one part of it it doesn't fill.
Do you know,
And
Lorna, when I read that, you know what it did for me, and I hope it does for thousands of people who hear this? We all think angels are so divine and special, but we don't think of ourselves as
that's right.
anything good.
Yeah,
And
we
that the
do.
angels have told you to say, oh, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. We protect you because you're a part of God. I hope in a minute people will see that there is so much good and so much love inside of us. And you talk love from heaven about how we lock it away, and I want to talk about that for a minute. But can you answer this for me, Lorna? And if I cut you off and there's something more important that you need
No,
to say,
no,
talk right over me.
go ahead.
People have
Because I
said
could
to
keep
me,
on talking.
oh, good. And I didn't share this with everyone. What I'd love you all to do is if you have specific questions, we're going to try to save a little time. Type them in the Q&A section, and I will read them and try to offer Lorna a few questions at the end. But I really want us to talk about these ideas first. Um, where was I? Oh, so one thing that I wonder about, people have said to me, my beloved family members have said, this makes me nervous. Reading about the angels, reading this book makes me very nervous. And I say, well, okay, why? And one beloved person said to me, I feel like I'm maybe not supposed to know this. What do you think the fear that so many people have? And I see it even when I share this on social media. people may want to come, but they might not want to say that they like it. They may not want to click like, they don't. And a lot of people have said, well, Kathy, wow, you're right on Forbes. You're really brave to say that you hear angels speaking in your head. And I say, I'm looking forward to the time where there's not such a schism that we have to pretend we're not spiritual in order to live in the corporate world or whatever.
Where,
Why do you think
yeah.
we're so afraid, Lorna?
I it is that we're so afraid of the spiritual side of ourselves, of our soul. We're so afraid of the angels, even of God, and we shouldn't be. But that's what the world has done. That is what man has done. Man ourselves, we have said, if you speak of anything like this or express any emotion like this, well then you're not there fully. You're you
A
you
little crazy.
you could never become qualified in anything. And again, that's why lots of people keep it a secret. They're afraid to allow others to know. I would meet judges even, surgeons, some very well-known surgeons and all of that, and people in high places, and they would say, Lorna, we believe every word you say. They believe themselves, but we can't come along and say to anyone, we believe in what you write, because
Oh,
they're afraid of losing their credibility. They're afraid, the world, because that's the way we're looking on it. And yet we are hungry and thirsty to know more. Science is hungry and thirsty to know more. They're all the time going searching for the proof, and yet we're being given the proof all of the time, but most of the time it's individually for ourselves. And I don't know why God chose this time for me to speak out. We must be ready somehow, in some way. We need to move forward. It's like as if we went backwards,
whoa.
and now we need to go forward for the better of mankind, for the better of our world, to save our planet. Because being spiritual, allowing your soul to come forward, hearing and seeing your guardian angel clearly, you wouldn't be doing, people wouldn't be killing each other or be mean or selfish to each other or hurting each other in any way. We'd have no homeless, we'd have no war. I've been shown so many wonderful futures when we decide, I'd have to say, to allow ourselves to be free. We're not free as such until we really acknowledge, you know, that we are human being, but we are a spiritual being as well, and one dwells within the other.
Hmm,
And imagine
beautiful.
what can I say? Imagine what we could do. I was
Together.
shown many futures of where we accepted this and we completely changed, became more beautiful in every way. But it's like, I always tell everyone the simplest thing because it's for people to understand. It's like children didn't need a bridge to cross a river, you
Hmm.
know, but that's because, they had accepted the spiritual side of themselves as well as the human, and it gave them abilities. It gave the abilities we're always searching for, but they're good. And our planet looked so fresh, so clean, so crisp. I can't,
Oof, I can feel it. I can see it.
so pure in that way. And yet science and all of us are searching for that. We're saying, why can't we achieve that now? But we're still too focused on all of the material things. When someone in a family gets, terminally ill or something like that, and everyone knows that they are going to die, they are going to go home to heaven. It is at those points in our lives that we realize that material things don't matter. It is the
So
other
true.
human being that matters, the one we love. And we should be putting that into our world every single day.
Oh, I love it. My dad was a scientist, and he really believed that when you die, you die. He died of cancer and he had dementia, but at the end, he, in his demented state, he mentioned he saw his mother, he mentioned his brothers were there. He started speaking in Italian, and we never even knew he knew Italian
Yeah.
because his mother
Yeah.
died when he was 5. There's so many. If people want facts and data, there's so much of it that reveals that there's so much more. But I want to say a few things and ask you something. When for me, I talk to the angels in my mind. When I ask a question, the reason I feel like it's not me is that I am filled with this love that I can't even describe. It's not an experience I have in my human life. And they'll even reframe a question if I'm all snarky about
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
I'll say, "Why is it that?" They'll say,
Yeah.
"Dearest Kathy, we see that you see it that way, but we see it this way." And instantly I'll feel so different. But I've got to ask you this. I was telling my son that you see angels, and I said, "I'm trying so hard to see them because I only," and he said, "Mom, I don't think you're going to be seeing any angels." And I was like, "Oh," but all funniness aside, Lorna, and I know you've said you don't know the answer, but if I really asked your angels to say, why do you think you're physically able to see them when so many are not?
I don't know. The only answer I always give is, I don't know why God chose me. Like I'm just an ordinary person. I'm uneducated in schools. I haven't gone to college or anything like that. I'm dyslexic, and my family sometimes go demented with that. The simplest
You're
little
not on
thing.
Twitter typing every day,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
like so I don't know why he chose someone so ordinary.
Do you think it could be that you did not have the distractions that many people have
Well,
about school and about all the things that keep us from being present? Do you think it
well, I suppose, the angels, they have been my teachers, my companions, my best friends all my life. I even give out to them lots of times, I can assure you. I tell them to go away, leave me alone. It doesn't really work, but that's okay. And, you know, one time I did ask, and I was told, just why not you? And that was the only answer I got. Um,
So there it is.
just like your dad, at the stage when it was near time for him to go, within his dementia, he became like a child again.
Yes.
He was passing through that eye of the needle.
He would look up in the last day
Yeah,
and
he
say,
was,
"Oh,
and
oh,"
he
and
could
say,
he
"What,
could
Dad?
see
What are you
them, you
seeing?"
know. But that was, for the end of his life. When everyone dies, whether they open their eyes or make a sound, they see all what your dad saw. They see their loved ones. They see the angels. They know that all their questions are being answered. Um, but I do know in the future,
Mm.
mothers, fathers, it'd be great if it came quicker. We'll see angels as physically as I see them. I see them the same as I see people. Now I can't see your guardian angel because you're on a screen. I couldn't see them that
Oh,
way. But if I was with you in the same room, I would see your guardian angel. But I would see any other angels that were there as well. And sometimes even a soul passed by. I always say that a soul has just passed by. Um, and to me, all this is just normal. It's just natural. And of course, you asked the question before, yeah, I'm ridiculed and laughed at. But at this stage, really, it doesn't matter because when you hear from a father or mother or a teenager or even a child that usually what they say, you saved my life, and I wouldn't even know them, you know, or you gave me hope, you gave me something to believe in.
mm.
Um,
What
And the
could be
world
better
has
than that?
lost all that. The world has lost hope and something to believe in. Young people have lost that because, again, we're so focused that it's still only all material things.
Oh, I have so much to ask you. One other thing about souls and angels, then I want to talk about love and what the world is going through today, our country. I'm in the US, as you know. Let me ask this, souls. So, are people able to call upon the soul of a departed and ask for them? And a lot of people, the way TV and the media makes it appear, if a soul is here, they're trapped and haven't moved on, and it's not a good thing for the soul. That's not accurate, is it?
No, that's not accurate at all. Sometimes you can call, like you can call on your father, and he's there for you.
I feel
Even
that.
though he's still in heaven, he's there with you. Things are completely different. And I don't really have human words for that. I could gather a whole load of words and it still wouldn't quite explain it. Um, Sometimes a soul comes to visit. It just, what would I say? And I don't know why. I have asked loads of times why, a grandmother would come back to where she grew up or lived, but they usually don't stay. But what way will I put this? The other side, and I don't like talking about the other side, plays lots of games with us and lots of,
Evil, you mean? Evil?
yeah,
I know you said you've seen Satan, you've
yeah,
seen evil.
represents, that this is sometimes what we call a ghost or a soul or a entity or,
Yeah.
and it's angry and it's
Yes.
hateful and it's hurting and all of that. But of course, the other side wants us to believe all that. The other side wants us to believe that your loved one who has died, their soul is mad angry with you over a row you had with them. But the thing is, they're not. All
I
that is
feel what you
wiped away. They just love you, you know. And I have seen the other side fooling people like that, and I just tell them to go away, and they
I love
go.
it.
Thanks be to God.
Okay, so I see people are asking. So I think what
Yeah.
most people who are hearing you would ask is, okay, you say, I have a guardian angel. Please tell me how I can connect with my guardian angel. How can I see them, feel them, hear them? Can you give us some instruction?
I think the first thing for a person to do is, no matter whether you're out walking or you're sitting down, just say to yourself, what have I got to lose in really believing in my guardian angel, in really believing that I have a soul, that I'm not just this flesh and blood person. I'm not just this, sometimes people would say, this person who is human and has so many ups and downs and anger and hate in them. Just say to yourself, I have nothing to lose. I only can gain by believing. And it's like the next day, then, when you wake up in the morning, just say good morning to your guardian angel. And if you don't know its name, if it hasn't given you a name or you haven't even thought of asking, just ask and just keep on asking until you realize you have been given it. A lot that happens just so many times. The guardian angel is giving you a name all of the time, and it's just not registering with you because you yourself is thinking, no,
Can't be.
that can't be. It could be Storm. Your guardian angel's name could be Storm, and it's only giving you part of its name, not the whole of it, just part. Because I always say there's so many letters in a guardian angel's name or in any angel's name that we couldn't even pronounce what we would think is the word.
And I want to say this because and hear you talk about this. I'm no teacher of reaching out to angels, but I've experienced, what everybody feels, all the doubt, the confusion. Am I offending them? So I've said to my angels, I don't know if you're my guardian angel or a spiritual entity of many. I don't know. Am I offending you? And what is the answer? You couldn't possibly offend
You
us.
can never offend your guardian angel, even if you scream at it and you
And you
say,
give it the wrong
thank
name.
you, and you use the wrong name, it will accept what you use. Or you what would you say? You use a whole load of bad language even. You know what I mean? Because you're mad over something. lots of times we ask for things that are really not good for us and we don't receive them and we're wondering why. And, we can say, well, I don't believe my guardian angel anymore. I don't believe in anything spiritual anymore. And sometimes it can be years later when suddenly something happens and we realize, oh, I'm glad I didn't get what I asked for 10 years ago, because look at what I have now. We're
Or
very slow. We're very slow that way.
yeah, we're not the best students. Or the flip, how many people have had cancer and have said to us, this was the ultimate blessing of my life? Because they learned to love, they learned to forgive. One thing you said, gosh, so much is running through my head, I forget. What was it about? It's free will. This is so important, I found in your books. We can say, darn it, why didn't you give me that acting job that I went for? And I don't believe in it. But first of all, there's free will, right? Angels cannot go against the will of man.
No, no,
And you have said they can whisper in people's ears and do their best to make an outcome organically occur, but they're not going to go against our will. Is that right?
no, they can't overstep that boundary. And what they will do is kind of keep putting thoughts into your head, or maybe get someone else to say, like yourself, to say something. Um, but a lot of the time we just don't listen, and they allow lots of signs to try and guide us in the other direction or to turn the corner. But lots of times we just don't do it. When someone says, I knew I should have made that phone call, but I didn't. Or I knew I should have stopped and said hello. Or I knew I should have sent that letter or filled out that form. That was your guardian angel telling you all the time to do it. But it couldn't overstep your free will and get a hold of you and shake you and say, sit down there and do it. You
You know,
know,
your
you have
books have
that
helped
choice.
me. Your books have helped me see you say listen. I realized just even yesterday, there's about 10 things a minute I think my angels are asking me to do. Like I just bought a rose quartz heart and I feel healed when I hold it. So I'll have a thought, hold the quartz. But will I go do it? No, because I think it's my
No,
silly little
you
thoughts,
think
right?
it's silly, or you don't have time,
Right,
or you're just lazy about it.
right.
They are absolutely great teachers. It's like, yeah, the thought of the rose quartz heart coming in. They're teaching you as well as helping to heal you. You should just go and pick it up and don't say. It's like if my guardian angel said, Lorna, pick up your glass now.
You're
You
going to pick
just
up your
pick it up. You don't do what all adults do and say, oh, I couldn't be bothered, or,
glass.
what does it mean? It couldn't mean anything. We're kind of lazy that way. And yet we want to learn as quick as we can, but yet we ourselves, and again, we're putting a stop on it. But your guardian angel, or even the other angels that may be around you, or even the soul of your loved one, won't overstep your free will. They'll constantly give you signs. You even ask for a sign from your guardian angel, in a sense, to prove your guardian angel is there. Like, I always smile and laugh at that one. Um, you could ask for a flower. It's the simplest thing. And if a child comes along and hands you a tiny little flower that's a weed or something like that, more than likely you'll just throw it aside and say, oh, that's pretty, that's lovely, or you will ignore the child. It could be a stranger's child that just walks up to you, because children listen so well, they don't hesitate. I have watched that happen in parks where I've seen a guardian angel whispering to this little boy, and he bends down and breaks off this little buttercup and walks over to the lady sitting on the bench.
Oh,
She just looked at him as if he had two eyes, said thank you, and the child walked away, she just flicked it on the ground.
good
And I was
boy.
told that she had asked for a sign of a flower, but the flower
Wasn't
for the
pretty enough.
lady wasn't good enough.
Oh, dear.
So kind of accept whatever it is. Don't say
Oh,
to yourself, or say, well, maybe this is the sign, but it's not what I really had in my mind. you
could you
know,
try again?
you know,
I take a walk in my neighborhood and the hawk to me. We have hawks, and to me, they're
Oh, lovely.
beautiful. And I'll say, "Can you show me the hawk today?" And it'll always be one, and it'll appear when it's ready. But I feel that's a connection. Love it. All right, Lorna, two things.
Well, that is a connection.
I think it
That's
is.
what you
It's a
have to
sign, and it
remember.
makes me happy to
It's a
feel it is a
sign.
sign.
Yeah, and
Why
it's
am
for
I going to
you
doubt
to,
that?
yeah, for you to recognize it then every time you see it, even when you don't ask for it. You could be somewhere else in the country or somewhere else in the
And
world,
there it is.
and out of the blue you see one. They're just letting you know they're around or you're going in the right direction.
Love it. So I'm sure people want to know. It seems to me in your books that you see angels in different ways. Tell me if I'm right. You will see a, a what do you call it? A speck of light,
A
but then
speck
some.
of light.
But sometimes you'll say, "Will you open to me?" Or sometimes it opens. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's the light of your guardian angel. When I was a child, it was very, very distracting, seeing the glowing of every guardian angel, seeing it in its full glory. And when I got to a certain age, they just said, Lorna, from now on, you will see that beam of light behind everyone. And when a guardian angel wants to open up, as I had to say, but that beam of light as well is the guardian angel. When it kind of makes itself bigger,
Wow.
and then I can describe the guardian angel to someone. But they do that, I could be sitting on a bus or be in a car or walking down the street, and I could look across the road, and loads of people walking along, and seeing the beam of light behind each and every person. And then all of a sudden 10 of them open up, and sometimes they just say, pray for this person. Sometimes they just show me a loving gesture towards that person. Or sometimes I could be in the park and the guardian angel opens up, and suddenly another angel comes along, and the guardian angel is, how could I say it, encircling the person, and the other angel, which is not a guardian angel, kneels down in front of the person, and is holding a light. And I always know when I see certain things, I know the person is down or sad, depressed in some way. So I pray and ask for them.
Wow. What a blessing indeed.
And but you don't go up to them. How could you? That's one thing the angels have never allowed me to do. I must ask for that person.
You know what comes to mind, and I don't mean to be upsetting in bringing this up, but in your amazing book, you talk about the angels sharing who you will marry and that Joe won't be with you for a long time. And I remember you said, I think you were 8 and you were a young child, right? You didn't really want to talk
I
about
didn't
marriage.
know. I didn't even know what that kind of love was or anything. I was roughly about 10 maybe, between 8 and 10. I was small, and I still am small for I'm only 5 foot nothing. And it was a time when I was out fishing with my dad and his friend, and the angels just said, Lorna, ask your dad, can you go up along the river to play? And I just said that, and my dad just said, yeah, because they said they had a very special angel for me to meet, someone I had to meet. And I remember when I ran on up and around the bend of the river, and I was looking all around, and saying, okay, who's special
What you got?
here? Like, I only see all of you, which is normal. And then they just said, look across the river. And there I see this magnificent angel walking across the river. He was like a giant, but he was walking across the river
Wow.
on the water, you know, and just watching his feet walking across on the surface of the water. You have to remember, I was only 10 and I was literally fascinated. And he was dressed in these amber colors, and the clothing seemed to twist around him. And everything about him was all these shades of amber, even at the skin of his face, his eyes.
Wow.
Um, And when he got to the shore and stepped onto the grass, onto the shore itself, even though angels' feet never actually
You
touch
say
the
that.
ground or the earth, what do you think's the first thing I said? I was only a child, you have to remember. Can I not do that? I wanted to do that because I was so fascinated. And he just said he had something very important to tell me. And we sat down on a stump of grass, and just this big screen appeared across the river. And I tried to explain that screen, that it's like silk, it's like, a crystal, it's like a light. I could never find a human, what it really was.
Right.
I would just, I don't know many things I named in the book saying that's what it looked like. It was so clear.
Wow.
Um, and I looked and I saw this young man walking towards us, but he was in the future. And I could see the trees of where he was, and he walking along this roadway. And it was Angel Elijah. He did introduce himself, and he just said, this is the man you're going to marry. And I kind of giggled, marry, this is the man you're going to fall in love with. And at that age in Ireland, way back then, young girls of age of 10 nowadays is a bit different. They don't even think of that.
Yeah.
And I giggled at the idea. And he then started to tell me that, we would get married and we would have children, that we'd have ups and downs, we would be poor. But then he told me the part I didn't like, and he told me that Joe would be sick. This young man, he didn't say his name, he just said he would be sick and we wouldn't grow old together. And I got annoyed with him even at the age of then. I always remember, turning to him, sitting on the ground and wondering, why did he have to tell me that?
Yeah.
And he noticed, like every angel, they never miss a thing, and he just said I wasn't to think about it. You know, he was going to put it to the back of my mind. And he put his hand to the back of my head. And it did go to the back of my mind, but it was always there. I always knew. And then the day I was 16, I was working in my dad's garage in the petrol station where he was working. And just so many things happened that day. But making the story short, just seeing him in the distance walking up, and I shouldn't have been able to see him, but the angels did that. I knew that was him, and I knew he was going to come into the garage and look for a job. And I was in denial because I knew what was going to happen. And I think it was the sad part that I didn't like.
Yeah.
So the sad part was making me in denial as such. And I was saying to the secretary there, I was in the office and she was right in front of the window. So I was looking out and watching him crossing the road and up the forecourt and saying to her, I hope this young man doesn't get the job. Like, imagine saying that. That's not me, but it was, I
Yeah.
was in love with him already.
Wow. And you know
But
what?
yet I was denying it,
Folks, if you want this story, read Angels in My Hair. It's just unbelievable. But you know what really struck me? Well, everything struck me, but you said I could never tell him that he was sick. I could never tell him what I knew, and he did unfortunately die so young. Tell me about that. You see things, I'm sure. You see things with people. You see things, and tell me about the responsibility of what to
I,
share that's helpful.
I think I try my best to share as much as possible, but you can't go up to someone and say, by the way, you're going to die in a year's time, or by the way, you're going to get terminal cancer. If I'm even with a friend or somebody like that, or somebody I just meet on the off chance, I usually would say, well, don't forget to go to the doctor and have a checkup. You know,
Yeah.
And it's up to the person. And sometimes, I might have said that to a complete stranger that, came and shook my hand and spoke for a minute, and I would just say those words, don't forget to take care of yourself, very, very important. And sometimes I might meet that person years later and they would say, do you remember meeting me in such and such a place? And of course I wouldn't, because
Of
I
course, you
meet
meet
thousands
thousands.
and thousands of people. Like I wouldn't be able. And well, they would say, well, you saved my life. You know, they went and took care of themselves. They went to the doctor. I always remember, a woman one day, meeting her and, chatting with her. And I just said to her, I think you should go home, and when you get home, go to the doctor. You're not feeling well, 100%. So go to the doctor. And she went seemingly, and I never even thought of it again. I just prayed for her and asked that she would go. And she did go. And I think 10 years later, I met her and she said, by the way, um, you probably don't remember me, which I didn't. But then suddenly the angel said, you did meet this woman. And she said, you saved my life. There was something wrong with her heart,
Oh,
you
wow.
know. So things like that do happen, but I don't go up to people. Sometimes I could be sitting in a restaurant or a cafe and I could be told and see, that someone is terminally ill, but they already know. So I'm actually asked to pray for them, to ask
Oh,
for
Lorna,
them.
how
And I ask,
beautiful.
what's the best for them? I wish God would give me a magic wand. That's what I say, a magic wand.
I wish we all had that.
I would love, to grant, the healing for everyone in whatever way it's needed, because it's not always physical. Sometimes it's mentally, emotionally, and emotional, and that kind of trauma is just as severe as body as well. And I think that a lot of the time we forget that when someone is depressed or down in themselves or has given up on life, lost all hope, that's as bad as having a cancer, or that can kill as well.
I so know
And
that. You know, I'm
we
a trained therapist, and now I'm working with, we chatted about this, adult children of narcissists. And narcissists are wounded as well, but they can damage their children, and
yeah.
that damage stays with adults so much. So now that we're talking about healing, I would love to ask you this question. Um, I think and we've talked about, here in the US, there's strife, and what this is not a political discussion. Whatever side people fall on, there's strife, there's anxiety, there's hatred, there's recrimination, there's confusion. I know a lot of people. You said to me the other day, hate is poison. And you said, and I featured this in Forbes, when we hate, it means we don't love ourselves enough. And people wrote me, I don't understand how this works. Help me. But for all of us around the world that are feeling rocked by what is happening and our fears, it's all about fear. What do we do, Lorna? How do we hold people, political leaders that we may be in opposition to? How do we do this?
um Where would I start to answer
Yeah.
that
Do we have
question?
another three
Because
hours?
yeah, because there's loads of questions in that one question,
I know.
and one part of it I would say pray, because prayer is very, very powerful.
And who are we
Um,
praying for and
I
to? What are we
think
doing?
I think you pray for yourself. You pray for all those that you know and you love and care for. You pray for your community. You pray for your country, and you pray for the world. Because there's lots of people out there who would say they believe they made it through something because strangers were praying for them. And I think that's very, very important. We have to pray for each other. You don't have to know the person. And that's why I always ask people to pray for the whole world, everyone in the world. But we need to really pray nowadays, at this very moment, for all the leaders of the world. that somehow they will make the right decisions or will come around, even if we go in a circle, in that way. And hate kind of, grows the fear inside of us. Or you could put fear before hate. You can do it that way. It destroys love, it destroys compassion, it destroys hope, it destroys the will to live, it destroys you know, the want to change things, because it makes you, what would you say, curl up in a ball? You
It's
know,
either I'm feeling from people either utter hopelessness, which is laying in a fetal position saying I have no
yeah,
power, or so enraged. I mean, I know that I can get so worried when I see the news
yeah,
that my blood pressure rises, that I have
yeah.
physical and emotional responses, that I want to cry, that I'm more depressed.
Well,
It ain't
what
easy.
you have to do is, every time that is happening, tell yourself that you have to love you. Allow your soul to come forward, because you are pure love. So all that love can go out into the world as well. We have to change. We can't keep on hating, keep on destroying. We have to allow love to grow. And love is inside each and every one of us. Even the most violent person out there that you can think of, that person is full of love as well. It's just that that person has it locked away. So all of us have to start to love ourselves more, because you can't love anyone else any more than you love yourself. And if you're angry and full of hate, that's what we're putting on the world today. And I know sometimes when I ask people to pray, for different leaders of the world, they get very mad and very angry, and they say, why should they pray for them? But if you don't pray for them, they won't listen. And once you pray, there's hope that they will listen to their guardian angel, that they will become more compassionate, more loving, and say, okay, I think that's wrong. Let's change it. We have to let each other know that we're not going to lose face just because we change our mind for the right reason. I am prouder for someone that does that. To me, everyone that does that, I put them up on a pedestal.
Because it's
You know,
courageous.
that
It's
is
courageous.
courageous. That is so, so important. So we must pray and we must speak up. And I have to say, people are speaking up. If something is wrong, we have to let our leaders know. We have to let our government know. Or we have council here in a community. There's the county council, and there's little different sections of it. And if there's something wrong in your community, something needs to be done, you have to let them know. So we all have to support each other in that way. We can't say to ourselves, somebody else will do it,
Right.
I won't bother. Because then if you do that, if people don't come together and say, let's sort out this little problem, let's find a solution, and everything, I have been shown so many wonderful futures. I know we can do it, but I know we have to grow spiritually as well, and that's why we have to reach inside of us. And again, that is why God chose this time to write Love from Heaven. Like, just think about it. It's about the soul. It's about love. It's about unlocking that love inside of us, and loving that stranger, loving your enemy, reaching out and even helping your enemy, even though you may feel they have done wrong, or they feel you have done wrong. But we have to reach out to each other, and you only can do that with love, with compassion, with hope. You have to say no more. I always remember, I don't know when it was, I think it was when we had a black and white TV, and hearing Paisley say, one of the leaders in Northern Ireland, because Northern Ireland had a horrible war, and he's saying one day, we have to stop killing each other.
Mm.
And when the angels said, Lorna, did you hear that? And I said, yes.
Wow.
I knew that was the real beginning of the peace process in Northern Ireland.
Powerful.
And one thing Angel Hostess has said, and that is Northern Ireland is the cornerstone for peace for the world. If Northern Ireland can do it, the
We
rest
all
of
can
the
do it.
world can do it.
Hmm.
And at the moment, it is kind of a little bit upside down because of what's happening in the rest of the world and the Brexit, if I'm pronouncing it properly,
Yes, yes,
England,
that's it.
and even with your president Trump and all of that. But I still believe Northern Ireland can keep peace because now everyone wants it. Children want it, that they can go to school and know that they're going to get back home again and mommy and daddy will be there,
Wow.
because they didn't know. Um, and I believe the rest of the world can do it,
I
and I think
believe
that
that
is
too.
so important,
But I think that we have
yeah,
to get stronger, Lorna. Just as you said,
we do,
I
but
think there's a weakness in us that think about all of our relationships. And I see this as a coach and a therapist every day. He did this to me. My mother did this to me. I'll never forgive him. But what
all
I
we
see,
have to say is stop. We can do it overnight if we want.
right?
Millions of us can do it. Millions of us can say, stop. I don't have to hate.
Yeah.
I can love. I can put the hope in. I don't have to allow myself to turn everything into personal as hate on me.
Right,
We can do it. It's like start practicing, even with the little things. Even when someone gives a sweet to someone else and doesn't give you one,
right.
say to yourself, that's okay. I still love them. I actually didn't really need that sweet.
You're
It's
doing me
just
a
the
favor
way,
not giving me that sweet.
yeah,
Thank you.
you know,
All
we,
right.
we can do it. We
I
just
believe
have
we
to say
can. I
stop.
know we can. Lorna, one more question, and then can I keep you 10 more minutes and we can take some live questions? Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'll make this
Okay.
quick. There's 161 people with us live right now,
Wow.
and 800 more will listen to the recording.
Great.
Do
Great.
the angels have anything in particular to share with this 161 people? Something very special we need to know?
One thing they're saying is for them to see hope right in front of them and for them to know how important they are and how special and unique each and every one of them are, and to reach in to their hearts inside of them, and it's like pull that light out their soul, bring their soul more forward, to bring more hope into the world, to love a little bit more. When you love yourself more, and allow yourself to do so, you're happier. Things don't worry you as much. You're not as, what would you say, fearful in that way. You become more peaceful within yourself. You can see where you're going. Where when we're not, the world is not that way at the moment, but we can be. And that's what the
I
angels are saying to those who are watching in now.
I already feel it's funny that you say angels in your hair because you say they actually tug your hair, right?
Yes,
I'm going to
yes.
come out and say it. I get a funny
You could
feeling
feel it.
here. It's like someone's going like this, and it always
Exactly.
has been.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're in our hair. I
They
love
do
it. Oh,
that.
Lorna, it's so beautiful. I want to give you a few questions from the group. Before I do that, I want to make sure everyone knows Lorna's got her wonderful book, Love from Heaven, coming out. Don't miss it. I love that you have a 7-day plan, don't you, in it for coming forward and learning how to
Yeah.
love yourself.
Yeah. And I know it works because I heard from so many people all over the world already who are saying, it has worked for them. But you have to
Fantastic.
allow yourself to want it to work for you. That is very important.
Right.
And just to remember you are pure love.
I love it. And I want to share, you can find everything about this on Lorna's site, Lorna Byrne, BYRNE.com. But you have two upcoming events. One, again, February 23rd in New York. Cannot wait. Bringing my dear friend, and we're going to race up and give you a hug. And in Boston with Mike Dooley on February 25th. And is this an all-day workshop?
This is a workshop I'm doing with Mike Dooley, and we have set out a whole load of things that we want to cover. But the angels do have a habit of changing some of them.
Of
So it's
course.
always a surprise. I know
Fun.
Mike, he's absolutely brilliant and he has it all set out, but I did a workshop in Wales, and what happened there, the angel, I can't even explain it because they changed something. They told me to do something with the audience that was completely different than what I thought I was to do. And the people loved it.
Why not?
I actually had to stop them talking. Would you believe that?
How wonderful is that?
So I'm really looking forward to that in Boston on the 25th, I think it is.
25th.
But the Open Centre now on the 23rd is not a workshop, it's just a talk. But again, the angels often change things. And of course, I'll be doing the blessing as well.
I'm getting that feeling. I'm going to see you there. I got it in my hair. All right. I'm going to ask you just a few questions. All
Okay.
right. Some people are saying, how do I contact my angel? You're saying ask, talk. Yes?
Yeah. And, sometimes just talk to your guardian angel, put a chair in front of you and you can do it that way just to get you used to it. Talk to your guardian angel as your best friend, either in your mind, because it hears you that way, or out loud, whatever way you want, or even write if you want. Write a letter to your guardian angel in that way and ask for a sign, because lots of adults need signs because we've been conditioned so much.
Not to
We're looking
believe.
for proof. So ask
Yeah.
a sign of something small, because the guardian angel usually has to get someone else to do it. They can't
I love
hand you
it.
the flower or the little stone or that phone call. But keep on asking. Don't ask once, because sometimes it can take a while, because maybe just say your guardian angel put a thought into your head to ring such and such a person and you never do it. And they were asking for that.
Wow. I want to say
Okay.
to some people, I learned how to connect to angels through Trudy Griswold, who's a wonderful friend of mine. She wrote Angels Speak. And I did it through writing first, Lorna, and I would
Yeah.
shut my eyes and out it would come. Paragraphs. I would ask questions. And I think for me, it was less scary and I could suspend my disbelief more that way first. So I
Yeah.
got used
Yeah.
to writing. Now I don't write. Now I ask and it
Now
comes.
you ask.
But I
Yeah.
have to say, tell me if you think this is nuts. I sometimes when I ask, it's my ego, it's my personality that's answering, and I'll feel it. It won't be the same energy. So I take 3 very deep breaths and then I ask again, and it feels very different when it is truly the angels. Am I
Yeah,
making sense?
that is right. But each and every one of us have to discover which way works for us.
Yes.
Sometimes it could be somebody, it's every time they pick up a glass of water and they start to drink that they actually start to talk to the guardian and they hear the guardian angel so clear, or they could be having a cup of tea,
I'm going to have
and
my
it's
tea right now.
every time they do something like that. So it's kind, or as we said, right, or it can be, you decide to do a meditation. You decided just to do your best to cut everything out of your mind and just say, guardian angel, just doing it that way. And every time something materialistic or their ego came in, they just say, guardian angel again. And even to do that for 60 seconds every day until one day everything just clicks. And it can happen very quickly as well. You're not waiting years. If you're waiting years, then you're doubting too much. You're missing all of the signs you're being given.
That's
And the
exactly
signs
what
can be
people are
so
saying.
simple.
How do I be brave enough? Believe. It's your
Yeah,
resistance, I feel. It's the fighting. This can't be that beautiful sign, that flower, that hawk. No, 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 that's not angels. Well, you're fighting it. But,
yeah, it could be a child comes up to you and gives you a message, and then the child goes off, and you could say to the child, you said such and such to me, and the child looks at you, no, I didn't, doesn't know what you're talking about, because a child doesn't even question the guard, it just does it. So it's not going to keep that in its mind just for you.
Can I
You
tell
know,
a quick story about that
yeah,
quickly? I was playing tennis with my son and I was being terribly competitive and awful. All of a sudden, I swear to you, it was like a gaggle of hawks and they were screaming. And it was my father, I think, saying, "Oh,
yeah,
you don't want to be this." And I dropped my tennis racket and I said to my son, who was 16, 15, I said, "Do you hear that?" And he said, "What? What is that?" He heard it. And I said, "It's my father and the angels telling me stop." And I stopped. We had a wonderful time. Do you know that a year later I talked to him about it? He goes, "What are you talking about?" He didn't
yeah,
recall it. And I do think, who knows what's going on there, but sometimes messages are truly just for you,
yes.
and
And that's
and
that's
that's
what
what
you
it
have to
is. And
remember. Yeah.
it's not that it
And
didn't happen. Oh, it's amazing.
there's no need to be fearful or afraid. If sometimes a surgeon would say to me, Lorna, I believe in every word, and I love your book, Angels in My Hair, and the other books. And they would say they never go into surgery, and it wouldn't matter what religion they are, without praying. Like, we're always just told all as they do is wash their hands,
Wow.
before they go into surgery, but they're praying at the same time. And many a surgeon has said to me they would ask God to please allow them to be successful, to guide their hands, their mind when they're doing the surgery, even though they know it's all in God's hands, because they said they find it extremely hard when they lose a patient, when something didn't work and they were trying to save someone's life. And then the times when they do save a person's life, they would say to me they thank God afterwards
Hmm.
for allowing that. You know, um, I do believe we are open more. It's just that fear of what the world might think of us.
I think you're 100% right. All right, two questions left, and then I'm going to be respectful of your energy and time. This may seem silly to some, but those of us who love our pets,
Yeah.
um, a woman writes about her cat. Her beloved cat has gone to heaven. Will I see my cat in heaven?
Yes, she
Answer.
will. If she has loved that animal, really loved it, she will. And I know lots of people get angry with me because I just say animals, I've been told, God has said, no, animals don't have souls. But if you love an animal, dearly love it, and you really take care of it, even a wild animal, um, God will have it in heaven for you. You will see it. Sure, look at how often God uses animals all of the time, even wild ones, to guide us and to help us to take care of our planet. And sometimes even a pet dog that could have died 10 years ago is used. God would have it, appear, and one of the family members would see it because something else is wrong. You
Wow.
know,
I
God
think
uses animals all of the time. So, yes, she will. She will
that's
see
beautiful.
because I know she dearly loves it.
Oh, I know. And I was so upset when I read that the angel said the animals don't have a soul because
I know
I have my
every
little
one of
beagle right
them.
here and my retriever
Yeah,
passed away.
yeah,
Yes, they do.
yeah.
But can I tell you how I interpret this? I love that animal so much. I think the soul we feel that they have is actually our love being returned to us. Is
Yes,
that
and
right?
that's right. That's what I have written in. I think it is Love from Heaven.
All right. There you
I
go.
have explained that, our love, and animals love it, and because of that I do believe animals are, what would you say, becoming more lovable
Yeah.
in that
Because
way,
we are.
even.
They're a
Yeah,
reflection
because
of the love we're putting out.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's becoming, but I just wish more people could do that. More people would love animals more, because we have so many animals now becoming extinct, just disappearing, needing our help.
Yeah.
And even our waters, our mountains, just we have to save our planet because we need it.
So
And that's
true.
one thing Angel Jimison is always talking about. I'm sure you've read
Yes.
about Angel Jimison as well. He's just a magnificent angel. And he's the only angel that I've ever known that kind of gets angry. But it's not angry, it's just his stick that he, when he taps the earth, you know, I always feel, the power of it. And the first time he did that, I legged it as quick as I could, but I was only a small child. It terrified me. The
Yeah.
ground trembled in that way. And that is Angel Jimison. He's the gatekeeper of the earth, but he's trying to keep the angel. Mother Earth, as loads of us call inside of our planet, to keep her calm and still. And her job is to keep our planet alive. And then we give out when she has to twist and turn those beautiful arms that are like sails,
Hmm.
um, and cause our earth to twist and turn, earthquakes. But she has to do that. She never wants to destroy life. She's all the time trying to keep life alive. And let's say we drill too much into her, we forget the oil and the gas and the minerals in the earth. They're like the fanes.
Hmm.
They're the life force of our planet, and as well. And she doesn't want us taking all of that.
Right.
It's just like an engine. You can't keep an engine going if you drain it of everything.
Oh, how beautiful. All right, one more question. I'm going to make it huge. So you can talk as much or as little. People are saying, when a soul has gone, do we return? But there's another piece to that. One thing of the millions that I love in your work is this. If there's suicide, if there is abortion, everything that our religions have told us about how we're going to hell and we will be punished, you do not see that, do you? And
No,
you
you
tell
you
us
have
about
to
souls and heaven and coming back and what you
you
see.
have to remember, even when a mother has an abortion, or a baby dies before it's born, or a mother miscarries, or anything like that, um that little soul chose that mom to be its mother and loves that mom unconditionally, regardless.
Hmm,
And I think that is something so beautiful
important.
and so important for every mother to remember. I got a letter from a young girl a couple of years ago, and she was only 14. And she said her mom and dad were bringing her to England to have an abortion. And she didn't want to have an abortion. But, and I know she had it, it was forced upon her. But you have to remember, and she needs to remember, that little baby still chose her, that little soul, to be a mom even at that age. And that can be a shock in that way, but loved her unconditionally, whether an abortion was going to happen or not. you
How
know
beautiful.
that love. And every time a mother thinks of the child they lost, or having an abortion, or being forced into one, um they're feeling the love of the child. It's the same when a mother has miscarried, she's torn apart. Why do you think she's torn apart? Because she's feeling the love that the soul of the little baby was pouring on her.
Ooh,
And that is so powerful and very emotional in that way.
how
I can't
beautiful.
remember the rest of your question. There was a
So,
lot in
and
there.
so, it's two parts. Even suicide, it's not that we're going to hell and going to be punished,
No,
correct? And
exactly.
will, people are saying, will our souls return? How do we know? What happens there?
Well, if someone commits suicide, God loves them. I have been shown that God takes them all straight to heaven and loves them, and puts this, what I call, this beautiful blanket that just sparkles in every way. And I know you have read about it in the book as well. And
Mm.
that's what every parent, everyone needs to remember, that if someone has committed suicide, God has taken them home to heaven. You have to remember they done that because they were in such a dark place.
Mhm.
And no matter what help they got, or even what help their guardian angel was giving them, even all the things God was helping to happen for them, they still decided. And again, that's that free will. And I give out to God about that. Um, but they are in heaven, and you will see your loved one, and you may even feel the presence of a soul that person had taken their life, but you'll only feel love. You won't feel anger or hate.
How beautiful.
And
And
I
the
think
final thing someone's asking is, can you tell us what you think about past lives?
past lives, they seldom happen. They seldom happen. I have to smile at that because I know everybody is so focused on, you know, well, if things don't work out for me in this life, I'm going to come back again and I'm going
Yeah.
to do this, that, and the other. When you die, when your human body dies, your soul lives and you go to heaven. I can assure you, you don't want to come back. Why would you? Just think about it. And if God does send a soul back, it could be, 1,000,000 years in our time has passed. And maybe that soul was in a body of a girl, and could have been having a great life. Everyone thinks they will go back to that family. It doesn't happen that way.
No.
It's like I was shown so few that were reincarnated, and Martin Luther King was one. But
Oh,
I was shown a past life of his, and he was white and a hard-working farmer.
wow.
You
Wow.
know,
Interesting.
like and when I was a child, when I was with my dad, and we had gone into this shop, and I was outside, and again, I'm skipping loads of it. I was shown, the old man that was sitting in the rocking chair had a past life as well. But he was sent back to this family to teach them a little about love.
I love that you believe
You
it.
know,
I would say to folks, I just read a book, Journey of Souls, where a hypnotist happened to uncover in a person their memories, their soul's memories of life between lives. It is the most riveting book, Lorna, and it reflects everything.
well, there is another part. On occasions, I have seen, and I don't know which book now it's in. I've seen an angel that is with an infant when it is born for about the first 6 weeks, and it's constantly talking to the infant, telling it of not past lives, but of lives that were gone, because that infant needs to have experience of that in this life they may change things for the better
Ooh,
because of it. So if someone has been hypnotized and they had that, it would come up.
man.
It's interesting.
Holy cow! Lorna, I know this is a lot of energy for you to do this, and people are asking incredibly specific questions. Can you talk about this? Can you talk about that?
Well,
They have specific things
what I
to
would
ask you.
say, like, people will have opportunities when they go to the talk in New York,
Great.
because I always allow the audience to ask questions for a half an hour, and I try to keep the answer short, and I do try to say to the audience, you know, not to tell their life story,
Please keep it
just the
succinct.
question, so
Yes.
giving other people opportunities.
Yes.
And the workshop I'll be doing, there'll be questions and answers as well on with Mike Dooley on the Saturday on the 25th. So I love intriguing questions, questions that I have not been asked before. And sometimes the angels might say, Lorna, you're not allowed to share that at the moment. And I'll be truthful, I will say that to the person.
Why not?
But
Of
I
course
could
you'll
be
be.
asked that question in another year's time, and I could be allowed to share it.
Beautiful. And
Okay.
didn't you mention that you pray for people can send you their wishes for your prayers, Lorna? Can you tell us?
Yeah, on my website I have a prayer scroll and there's hundreds of thousands of prayers in there and I bring that prayer scroll to God every single day.
Oh, well, there you
So
go,
you
folks.
can,
All of these specific questions, go to Lorna's website, Lorna Byrne, BYRNE.com. Enter your wish for a prayer for Lorna's scroll. And I would love you all to send your thanks to Lorna. Send your love and thanks for her time because thousands and thousands of people all over the world are asking for Lorna's time, and we're so very grateful. Thank you for being here with us.
well, I would like to thank you, Kathy, and the other young lady that's with you, Blaine,
Monica, yeah, thank you.
and my daughter Aideen that's here with me. And
Thank
of
you,
course,
Adrian.
most importantly, all your listeners and their guardian angels, for there's the biggest sign. All those that may have doubted,
Yeah,
they joined, they
isn't that
listened.
miraculous?
And
Thank you,
that's what
my
people
dear.
have
And I
to
can't
remember. So
wait to
thank you.
I can't wait to give you a hug on February 23rd.
So same here.
Thank you so much.
God
Thank
bless.
you, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye now.